moving forward, whenever we request, we will include real world examples. So now I can simply copy the code. I can come back over to my code pen, and I'm going to paste this in the products section. So now I'm going to ask that ChatGPT rewrite the, let's see, that was the product section. So now I'm going to ask that ChatGPT rewrite the resource section. Write the resource section and include real world examples. All right, so let's see. Great. So my concern was that I may have been too vague with the request, but because ChatGPT is acting as a web designer, and because ChatGPT retains some of the information from the conversation, we're able to simply ask that ChatGPT write the resource section, and I didn't need to tell it that it was writing HTML or anything like that. So ChatGPT has now completed the resource section, and all I need to do is paste the resource section into the code. And the next section that we want to ask ChatGPT to complete is the Contact Us section. Complete the HTML and start with the Contact Us section. So now ChatGPT is writing the last section. And another thing is, by ChatGPT naturally uses semantic coding, which is great because at this point it has broken it down into sections, and that also gives us the ability to cut out those sections and paste them into our website. So it just makes it a lot easier if we have to ask that ChatGPT redo a section or add something to a section. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this last section of the code, and I'm also going to go ahead and paste it into codepen.io, and now we can go over to CodePen and take a look at the code. All right, we are in CodePen and we are ready to finish off this code and kind of see what the HTML looks like. Now, because it ran out of steam about 1/4 of the way through, we did have to get these sections pieced in separately. So this products section and also the resource section, all of the sections after the product section, obviously we had to paste in. So I was just coming in and dropping in the sections after the closing tag of each section. And now we do, however, also need to close up the HTML and the body tags. So here is the opening HTML tag and does not have a closing tag. And then here is the opening body tag. It does not have a closing tag. So I'll simply come here and I will add the closing body and the closing HTML. And now it really doesn't make too much of a difference because really only in CodePen, it only wants things that are in the body. So it's naturally going to automatically come up on the preview side, whether or not we add those closing tags. So here, as you can see, we have a beautiful starting point when it comes to our website design. And now we are ready to ask for the CSS. Now, keep in mind that Before we started this activity, in the last activity, one of the first things that we asked ChatGPT to create was a style guide for this website. So we already have a style guide, and that is the information that we're going to give to ChatGPT before we ask that it create a style sheet for this code. So now let's go back over to ChatGPT with our style guide. And we're going to start by asking ChatGPT to add the CSS for the code using the following style guide. All right, so I asked that it provided the CSS using the following style guide, and then as you can see, I pasted the style guide into ChatGPT. And now ChatGPT is creating an example of the CSS code using the style guide. So here we have ChatGPT providing us with the style for the HTML that it has already created. Now, I will warn you that at times ChatGPT will, for example, use a selector that is not found in the HTML. But because we had to import the style guide first, we were not able to give it the complete HTML. Sometimes it helps to copy the whole HTML and then tell ChatGPT to write the CSS for it. But in this case, we didn't have that as an option because we had to import the style guide. So if we have to, then we will, but we had to start this way first. So now ChatGPT has run out of steam again, and we're going to tell it to complete the CSS starting with this rule set. So and hopefully it starts with, here I see it's starting with the primary. Okay, so let's look up here to see. This might be one of the cases where it starts in a, so it started with providing us with a list, and it's now saying that this is the code for the primary button. And let's see which section it's in. So one of the good things is that ChatGPT section adds code to section off, actually adds comments to section off its code. And we just want to make sure right now that it is providing us with code that is on the same track as the code that it started with. And here I'm seeing some brand new sections of CSS, but I can't say for 100% that it is providing us with the code that it stopped at. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to say complete the CSS and start with the forms section. All right, and I actually want to place this inside of this prompt and then click save and submit. So let's come up here and see, it looks like it is now back on track. Forms, form, display, column. All right, this looks good. It may have switched up a few things, but it actually looks like it'll still work. So now it's on to images. And again, here we want to make sure that if it stops, we'll basically have to tell it to start with the images section. All right, so we've made it to the overall section, which is great. Okay, so it stopped at header. So this time I'm going to be more specific, and I'm going to tell it to complete the CSS starting with the header starting with the header rule set in the overall section. All right, so complete the CSS starting with the header rule set in the overall section. And let's see if we can get ChatGPT to know. It did still start with the overall section. Let's see if it's still producing the same code, body anchor tag. Okay. Looks like it's just gonna start here, which is, it's good. It's not the best, but it'll work. And it also looks like it's now breaking down the overall section into headers. There's now a header section inside of the overall section. So that's great. That way, if it stops, we can just tell it to pick up at the header section. But it's now on to main content. And we do want to make sure that it's not repeating anything because this is getting a little lengthy. But again, this will be the entire code for the CSS. So I'm going to go ahead and start to paste in this code. I'm going to start here by copying the code that is not in the code snippet. And again, just because it has given it to us like this does not mean that we can't use it. So I'm just going to copy everything, but I'll have to probably see, where did it pick up? Okay, it picked up at the forms section. So I'll copy everything above the forms section. All right, so I'll copy this. I'm going to start pasting it into the CSS, and I will skip over the partial form section and add everything up until the overall section where it stopped from this next code snippet. And then from the next code snippet, I will do from overall down to which form, and now it's back to forms. So we might be good. We started at forms. So I'm going to take overall and I'm going to copy this and paste it. And I'm going to stop at forms because we already have code for the forms. Again, this is, at this point, just the process that is going to be required for us to use if we're choosing to do this with ChatGPT. And luckily, because of the way that CSS works, it reads from top down. So if anything is repeated, then the most recent code that ChatGPT has offered will be what is replaced, will replace anything that's above it. And that's actually okay because it will still allow our code to be functional. And if we need to go back in and then basically tweak what it's provided us with, then we can do that. So let's go ahead and go back over to CodePen and see what ChatGPT has given us the style for. So using the style that ChatGPT has offered, now we have a beautifully styled home page, and it simply needs images. And so the links are not going to take us anywhere yet, but this style is amazing. And I think this will work really good for our first website design with ChatGPT. And I'm going to remove this information from the footer where it's asking user to follow us on social media. And I'm simply going to remove that because um, there's no social media that we're going to connect to it at this point. So everything else looks really good, and I'd like to see what this looks like after we add images to our website. So because I'm happy with this layout, we can go ahead, and now that we've tested it in CodePen, we can go ahead and bring this into Riplet if we would like to, or we can bring in our images into CodePen and build it out completely. It's up to you which platform you use. However, for me, I actually enjoy testing things out on CodePen first because it's quick and it's easy when it comes to actually quickly producing a website or web page just to see what it looks like. Riplet offers us a little more flexibility when it comes to bringing in media, and it's free. However, CodePen will charge you if you want to use it to bring in images. You can also always, however, use the actual image address for images as well. So we can go ahead and keep this in CodePen, I think for the sake of, no. Okay, so at this point, I will go ahead and copy all of this information now that I'm happy with it, and I'm going to take it over to Riplet, and we will start to finish building out our website with ChatGPT.